Hey everyone, and welcome to another Kano Reviews. Today we talk about Call of Duty Black Ops. With of course Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War coming later this year, I thought it was a logical step to review the first Black Ops and see how it holds up after all those years. Especially since Cold War should be a sequel to this entry. I remember well when Call of Duty Black Ops was announced and how initially I was a bit underwhelmed with the premise, the trailer, and the gameplay. It came out in the year after Modern Warfare 2, one of the strongest in the franchise, and thus the bar was set really high, so high in fact, that the series did not hit that mark again for a very long time. The team that worked on Black Ops were also responsible for Call of Duty World at War. I know that World at War is a very beloved amongst my viewers, and many told me that it's their first Call of Duty they ever played. Now I haven't done a review on World at War yet, but I have to admit that for me, it's a bit of a lesser entry in the franchise, mostly because I think other World War II games in the series like the first Call of Duty, the second, and even Big Red one are all better. It also came out in that period where many gamers, including myself, got kinda tired of so many World War II shooters we had gotten throughout those years. But with Black Ops, they promised to enter a new era with the early to late 60s, meaning iconic events would be on display, including the BAE of Pigs, the Vietnam conflict, and of course all being overshadowed under the threat of the Cold War. The studio Treyarch, that was responsible for both World at War and Black Ops, were more notorious for showing gore and sometimes shocking content in their versions of Call of Duty. Legs and arms could be shot to pieces in their games, and they would not shy away from displaying civilians being shot, showing war crimes like shooting surrendered soldiers, or have several very graphic and bloody executions. Now with a mission like No Russian, the other team also had laid the bar high for this as well, and Black Ops never really gets over that. When one thinks of the Cold War and also the term Black Ops, it comes to mind that all the operations are done off the grid, off the record, and in small teams. And I remember being worried about this with Black Ops, because in my opinion, the real power of Call of Duty is the presentation of incredibly epic battles where huge amounts of units fight each other and you feel like a simple soldier caught in the middle. That had been the formula for Call of Duty 1, 2, 3, World at War, and even the Modern Warfare series. At a certain point, it indeed ended up with the Call of Duty series being more around you and a small squad of 2 or 3 guys, rather than you and several dozen. This resulted in some of the worst in the series in my opinion, including Ghosts, which I will probably also review someday, but I am glad to let you know that after replaying Black Ops again for this review, that this game is full of levels and missions where you do feel like you are part of something much bigger and epic. The story in Black Ops actually goes a bit deeper than most Call of Duty games do, as we follow the character of Alex Mason, who has been captured by a mysterious group of people and who is questioned about his experience with several people on the US side and on the Soviet one. Throughout this interrogation, the topic of a set code of numbers comes up a lot, and those numbers are basically the red line what keeps the story all together. I think that the story is actually quite good with great characters, espionage, and mystery, though the numbers with what they mean and the twist including the main character and an imaginary character is a bit out there. Don't get me wrong, the twist when it's revealed that a certain character isn't there but has died many years before actually came as a big surprise to me, but it's in a way also a little bit cheesy and dramatic. Both Call of Duty 1 and 2 did not really have any drama. It was pretty dry with its presentation, with you just performing several missions without any twists or turns. In the Modern Warfare series, you did have those dramatic moments, but they felt very natural through actions, like the nukes going off or the scene at the airport being used to fuel a war. In Black Ops, it requires the viewer to suspend their disbelief. As Mason is interrogated about his history and the battles he had witnessed, you get to play these yourself, starting all the way back with the BAE of Pigs Cuba conflict. It's here where you meet 2 of the most important characters in the game, Bowman and Woods. Bowman is voiced by Ice Cube, and, well, he sounds like Ice Cube. But Woods is the standout character in this game, and immediately became a legend with his rough voice, his harsh but still honorable state of mind, and just plain badassery in terms of action. I also love that his look during the Vietnam missions are very clearly inspired by Robert De Niro from the movie The Deer Hunter. I always like with Woods that I do feel that he's on the side of the good guys despite being very harsh and brutal when he thinks the time requires it. He will not hesitate to shoot a woman who picks up a rifle after we both have shot a double for Fidel Castro, who used that same woman as a shield. Woods even comments how insane it is that she still picked up that weapon after he used her as a human shield. Later you have a level at a launch site where German Nazi scientists get burned, and though Mason shows pity on them, Woods quickly lets you know that they don't deserve sympathy. But he never commits any war crimes, and in that sense, I find him quite a noble warrior despite him clearly making his hands dirty. That is also why I'm very excited for him to return in Black Ops, and I hope they do his character justice by having him keep those same traits. Now the initial BAE of Pigs mission is very cool, very intense, and immediately sets the stage. Though you will spend the first half only with the squad, the ending segment near the airfield involves many different rebels fighting on your side, and explosions and gunfire everywhere. Artillery and mortars are coming down on everyone hard, and buildings are shot to pieces. It was a truly awesome experience and display to behold, even for today. The second level then involves Mason being captured and being brought to a Russian labor camp. During this mission you follow the uprising of the prisoners and their escape to freedom. It is also here where you meet a known face from the World at War game in the form of Viktor Reznov. Now from what I understand, Viktor Reznov is one of the more popular characters from World at War, and I even have some friends who say that he is their favorite. I'm sorry to say this, but I unfortunately quite dislike this character, both in World at War and also here. First, what I don't like is what I do like about Woods. Where Woods does not commit war crimes, Reznov is not afraid to do so. He does not shy away from ordering unarmed or wounded men to be shot, and even insults those who refuse to act such a crime. What's more is that he is so incredibly preachy with how he says everything both in World at War and Black Ops. He is always preaching, and he sometimes feels more like a maniac or cult leader than a proper soldier. I find that really annoying actually. Now it might sound a bit confusing because though I said I don't like the character at all, I still think the character itself is quite good and well written, but I just don't like him, whereas I'm surprised so many did. To me, what Reznov represents was how war crimes and cruelty happened on both sides of the war. He was the face of the ugly side of it, showing those gray areas and have you realize that though you are fighting for the good, some soldiers and officers have committed war crimes as well. But apparently many or most people just liked his loud shouting about killing or whatever, so yeah, I don't think everyone got that message, but then again, it's up for interpretation. And I'm also not condemning the fact that they show these war crimes in the game, since I also still keep shooting at those NPCs, but at least I am aware that what I'm doing would be terrible and inhumane in reality. Showcasing that in games can be a reason to at least think about those topics, which I think is good. But from my read and heard, that message went over the head of many players unfortunately. So yeah, Reznov is a well-created character which I dislike very much. He's once again excellently voiced by Gary Oldman, and the preachy Reznov and you escape the prison amongst hundreds of others as you fight against the guards. This is another mission where so much visual epicness is on your screen. Many shootouts and confrontations involve once again dozens of units on screen, and the tempo is always high and epic. The level plays in the snow, so it's a stark contrast to the previous Cuban level, adding to the variety of the game. There's an awesome cutscene-like sequence as well, where you head into the Pentagon and meet legendary figures like McNamara and President Kennedy. What follows is another mission that is more espionage with you and your small squad, but is yet again very atmospheric and adds to that 60s spy thriller vibe with you dressing up as Russian guards to talk your way inside a base. This is one of the lesser levels in the game in my opinion, but it's still pretty fun with great pacing. The other mission that comes to mind where you are only with a small squad but is really cool is the level in Hong Kong. In this mission you are fighting from rooftop to rooftop in these small cluttered apartment buildings just like you would think Hong Kong apartments would look like. You are descending down these shanty town style rooftops and jumping on balconies all while you are surrounded by larger apartment buildings covering your view everywhere. It basically blocks out the sky and instead you are always watching grey apartment buildings and neon lights. It's such a different and unique atmosphere and really works because of it. Then let's finally talk about the Vietnam levels, an absolute highlight of this game, and I simply wish there were more of these. I really would love a Call of Duty Vietnam game, where it's just all about the Vietnam War, but I guess they are afraid to make that since most of it would take place in the same looking jungle environments. I have the same fear with Black Ops Cold War, that we will only get 1 or 2 Vietnam levels and that will be it. I would love to see how they bring the Vietnam War to life with modern day graphics. But anyway, the first Vietnam mission immediately sets the tone as your base gets attacked by thousands of NVA soldiers. They are shelling the base, blowing up people left and right, and you are forced to head into the trenches and fight for your life. Overhead, enemy soldiers leap over the trenches, and at the same time, soldiers from your side and APCs and tanks all roll over to drive them away. It's incredible, and that feels like a proper Call of Duty level, as you feel like a simple man caught in a conflict that involves thousands of individuals. Seeing all those NVA soldiers storm your base is frightening, and having planes drop bombs and napalm completes the chaos altogether. Your mission objectives can sometimes still feel a bit standard, with at a certain point tanks coming in that you have to blow up, but because of how epic this whole scene feels, they get away with it. Then the level that takes place during the Tet offensive in the city is also awesome, despite it being very dark and gloomy. You crash into a building with a helicopter and have to fight your way out, but outside, you see and hear all the fighting that is happening, and you even get control over ordering airstrikes by a helicopter or commanding an APC to fire at certain locations. All the while, you are surrounded by once again dozens of friendly NPCs as you fight through the shot-up streets. It's excellent. The next Vietnam mission then has you fighting guerrilla style, where you first have to sneak your way through a camp, taking out units silently. Eventually you have a bigger shootout, but it still feels pretty small despite more friendlies joining you. It ends with a very awesome section in a tunnel, and it made me realize that though there are very few Vietnam levels in the game, each and every one of them serves a purpose to give you another aspect of the Vietnam War. The first mission has that overall giant war feeling against the NVA. The second level has both the Tet Offensive, but also urban combat, which was rare but still happened during the Vietnam War. Then the third level has that guerrilla warfare feeling against the Viet Cong, and the one after that has you take part on a patrol boat as you fight the VC along the river, all while the Rolling Stones are playing in the background. At a certain point, you even get some vibes from Apocalypse Now as you head closer to your objective. And the final level has a very obvious nod to the Deer Hunter again, with the Russian roulette and a very cool final segment where you take charge of a Soviet helicopter and blowing all the nearby camps and outposts to pieces. Overall, the Vietnam levels are each very awesome and unique, and though other levels in this game are also still very cool, the Vietnam levels share a coherency that sometimes gets lost in the others. Another standout level is the World War II level, where you play as Reznov and are now accompanied by the character you played as in World at War. I was actually really surprised by the twist they had in mind for that character, and I praise them for having the balls to do that. Now after they did this, they pretty much did the same again with Black Ops 2, but by that time I expected it a bit more since they had shown they were willing to go that far with Black Ops 1. But the World War II level is really cool because it feels like an homage to the roots of Call of Duty, as you get to play with all those well-known weapons once more, as you get hints of how the Soviet missions were since you are fighting in the Arctic snow this time. The sounds they use for the character voices are actually literally taken from the earlier games, which added to the nostalgia. The final part is actually also really surprising and cool, with part of the Soviets betraying Reznov, and he and those that still are loyal to him need to fight against the Russians, but also suddenly against the British, which have sent in their commandos to retrieve some German scientists in their experiment. Very cool and epic, as you are now fighting literally everyone. So for the most part, the missions in Black Ops are really good to great. But there's also a small handful that is a bit less, and that unfortunately hints further towards the end, where the variety starts to waver a bit and the levels don't look that interesting, with most just being brown and gray and industrial. One mission I found quite boring was the level where partially you are being overwatched from a plane as you order your ground troops to move and take out targets. Since of course technology wasn't that great back then, they wanted to replicate this by having the screen you have to control be real small and also really grainy and blurry. But that makes these levels, which I already find very overrated, even in the Modern Warfare games, even more overrated here. Luckily you play the other half on the ground, but that's also not that special since it's just you and a small squad in the snow. And despite some scenes where you are skydiving and having to outrun an avalanche, the level did not make an impression on me at all. At the end, it also becomes more of an enemy spam type deal from a large-scale battle where it's hectic and epic instead of later levels where just drones and drones of enemies are spawning in the rooms. A later level where you fight in hazmat suits also doesn't impress because even though the premise is pretty cool and unique, the delivery is once again very unappealing since you are just running through brown smoke. Now I focus mostly on the campaigns here with these reviews, but Call of Duty players of course also play these for the zombies and multiplayer modes. The zombies mode in this game I do really like, and even feel that it's a step up from World at War, though only slightly since there are less levels. But they are more varied and much larger in scope. Were it for the single player campaign alone, then I would probably put this campaign behind games like Call of Duty 2 and Modern Warfare 2, but I think it's better than entries like World at War or Call of Duty 3. But with the Zombies mode included, Black Ops is still a pretty beefy package offering a lot of awesome gameplay even for a single player or co-op fanatic. In the end, Call of Duty Black Ops gets an 8.1. Secretly, I actually really like Black Ops 2 as well, since you could make some choices there that really impacted the ending, and the futuristic setting was at that time still pretty cool and fresh, unlike later parts. I might also review that one pretty soon, so maybe we will see a review next of Black Ops 2 before Black Ops Cold War releases.